Hey everybody, it's Tina at Fontana Designs. We're doing a video for the Gnome kits that we can't paint in person with you guys, so we're just going to do a step-by-step how to do it. There's no right or wrong way to do it, but we're going to show you easy steps to make this paint kit work. So in your Gnome kit, you will get the gnome, of course, unfinished wood, which is about a 1/2 inch thick and 22 inches tall, so it's really large. In the kit, you will get many things, so I'm just going to run down the list and tell you what they are so you can make sure you have everything. You will have your hat paint, and I'll show you my colors, but you get to pick that color for your hat. You will get a black for the feet in a glaze. You will get your beard paint, nose paint, which is the pink everybody gets. It's kind of hard to see the true colors. All your paints will come in a small container for you because you really don't need much. The Dixie Belle paints go a long way. You will also get the black glaze for the shoes. Will also be the glaze for your detailing and shadows. Sponge brushes that I'll provide, and one detail brush for doing in your little crevices in the details. Also, there will be a stencil for your flowers and a D-ring for your back to hang it on the wall. So that is everything besides the white rag that you will dampen to keep your hands clean when you're touching the board, and a finishing pad, which is in between the coats you will layer after you've painted and it dries. We're going to start with the feet, and they'll be black. The other thing that is good to know is if you look under my gnome, you can use books at home, whatever you have, a board, but I do like to set it up on something so that you can access all these edges with your brush and not get it on your surface. So now we're going to start with the feet first. So you'll get one of your sponge brushes out for the black, and you'll start putting that on. And you can use the sponge because it goes on easier. And you don't want to go all the way over because the beard, I like the beard to kind of come down and look jagged and furry. So you'll just put this right on the feet. And you don't have to use the black for that if you don't want to, but that's what it's for, to really pop out between the beard. And then after you get that on, I kind of go around it a little bit. And then you'll come back and you'll hit all these edges. That's the first step, is getting the feet done. All the sides and letting that dry. So while that's drying, you can really start with the nose. You don't have to, but you could come in and do all your beard, but I'm going to go ahead and do my nose first so that if I have to touch it up. And this paint is very thick, so I use the Dixie Belle spritzer bottle, and it really helps when you mist it to get the paint to spread so much smoother. So if you don't have a spray bottle, it's okay, but it's best if you do to fill it with water and just spritz from a distance, because this one does a fine mist, the Dixie Belle sprayer, but a regular spray bottle will kind of put a lot more water on it, so you have to pull it back a little bit. So I got the nose painted in there. And next, and remember, all your little lids will be labeled what they're for, as well as the color. So I'm going to let that dry. I might do a second coat. But right now I want to get the beard on, which you should have a little container that says driftwood gray for the beard. And it dries darker, but we can always go in and highlight it with some white, and we'll get into that when we blend some of the colors. So on one of the plates that I gave you, one is a plastic plate for you to blend on. The paper plate is for later. Save that for dry brushing. So I'm just going to go in here and start my driftwood on the beard, and when we get to these crevices, that's when we'll have to spritz it, or you'll have to use the small brush I gave you to get down in there. So I'm just going to mist this a little bit. You can mist your brush as well. And we're just going to get this on here. But that paint, you really need to wet it down like I did here. You can see how it's thinning it out some to spread easier, because it's so thick it doesn't want to spread as easy. But it has great coverage, so you won't need much at all to cover this. So, and I'll come back around and mist this again. And in your kit, you might have a white, or you can use the pink, or you can use the black, whatever you want for your flower, but it's better if you have a dark hat to do the white flower. So, but you have to get the whole thing painted before we do the stenciling and let it dry. So, I'm going to get all this paint on here and around his nose. At the top of the nose. Don't worry about it if you get a little bit on your hat, because you're going over your hat anyway. So now I want to get it in all these little crevices. So it's all done, but you can see the crevices still need paint in it. So I'm going to load my brush up. I'm going to spritz it, and I'm going to try to water it down so I can get it in those crevices. And now we're going to start with the hat, and again we chose mermaid tail, which is a really bright color, and we're going to cover the hat and all of the sides now in your main color. So this will be the last part of the painting process. And one great thing about Dixie Belle paint is it dries really fast. So, but you want to keep your, if you don't have a spray bottle, like I said, to mist your paint, then dampen your brush, dip it in water, just to help thin the paint out, because it's so thick and it glides when you mist the whole thing. It just smooths the paint faster. It's self-leveling paint, so don't worry about all the brush strokes. They will self-level out. It just helps it get into all the edges. So, and the tough part is going to be right around this little edge area, but we can mist that and then hit it back up with the other color. And then once this mermaid tail gets put on, probably hit the edges, get maybe a second coat because it's a dark color, and then we can let it dry. So, and it doesn't take too long to dry. So now we're just going to get the edges of the hat and then let it dry a little bit and see if there's any touch-ups once it's dry. Going around those edges. Yep. And then we can get these sides a little bit in the front. It's a little bit hard working upside down. But when the paint starts drying, you can also see where you might need another coat. So it helps because it dries so fast to see where you need to apply it. And then the rest is just the edges, and then it can dry. Get over here if you want on this end. So really getting a spray bottle or emptying out a bottle you have and filling it with water and keeping your brush damp really helps this paint go on so much smoother. Because like I said, it's really thick, especially around like these edges. It's just gliding when it's wet. And it really helps because there's a lot of paint still left on your brush because this paint is so thick. So I'm probably blocking. So I'm going to come around this way so you can see. Yep, you got to put the clear coat. I'm going to touch up the black now though because I really want that to dry, and because I was upside down I couldn't see the bottom here too good, but I need to hit his little black boots. So I'm just going to touch up the black now because I can see where it needs it. Okay, and we're going to let this dry now. And then we'll be back to do the next phase. Okay, so it's almost dry, and all I'm going to do is come in here and make a little pointed beard over his boots. And I'll just keep dabbing this down over his boots to look like his beard or his hair. Just making it look textured over this part. Because the black is not dry all the way, it's kind of blending like a beard at a point. At least I hope, because I'm upside down. So, and as that dries, I can come back in and blend it just a little bit more. So that made his beard look a little bit to a point. And I'm gonna come in and touch up wherever I see I need touch up. If I need it on his nose, or I missed a little bit, so like I missed a little bit inside here on the wood on his nose, so I'm gonna have to hit that. I missed it, and it's better to get all your touch up now while it's almost dry, so that then when it completely dries, we've touched up everything and we can clear coat it. So, and I see a couple spots are drying here a little light, and I missed a little spot in the crevice. So I'm going to mist my brush and go over the whole thing one more time with the mermaid tail. But like I said, this paint is so thick that you can put it on your brush and spritz it, and spritz the whole thing, and it'll smooth it all back out again. So I'm just going over it one more time. To make sure I got a nice thick coat on the hat. And then got all the edges. So now it's dry to the touch, and it's been sitting for about a half hour to 40 minutes. So now we're going to put the clear coat on, which is going to seal it and protect it. We're just going to put a light thin coat on, and you can pretty much tell where you put it because it's shiny until it dries, and it dries flat. So we're going to get this on. And we don't want to spray the gnome because it'll reactivate the paint. So yeah, just get it all over quickly, and then you'll know where it's at and where it's not at. And then once it's all over the gnome and it dries, it'll actually make the color a little bit deeper and darker. but it protects it from when we're gonna put the last and final phase on. In case we mess up, we can wipe it off. And you don't want to keep reworking it because you can start taking your paint back off. So you just want to get it on and then protect it all. Let me spray your brush. But I don't want to spray the gnome. And just get it one coat all over it and it'll seal it up. And that will suck a lot of the paint up because the little crevices, but get that one spot up there, wipe it off the hat, the black. See if you can wipe that back. Okay. So you want to just put the clear coat on one thick coat, spread it around, keep your brush wet, get it all over where you can see the whole thing is shiny. And then you can go ahead and get the shoes last now. That way if any black gets on your brush. Let me spray this brush again. And then that will seal enough for it to do the glaze. So you can also come back in and wipe out some of these crevices. Just follow the pattern. So now we're dry with the clear coat and we're going to stencil. You have a big flower and a small flower. So remember, you're protected with the clear coat, so if you lift it up and you don't like it, you can always wipe it off, but you want to wipe it off, you know, while it's still wet. So the trick now is to dip your brush into the paint, but then you got to get almost all the paint off the brush. Because if you have too much on your stencil brush, it will bleed under the stencil. And you also want to hold down your stencil. So we're going to dab on it around the stencil. And we didn't put the hole in the center so that it was easy to, you know, get your stencil on first of the big flowers. And then you can go back. But whatever you do, don't sweep under the edges. Don't brush side to side. It's better almost to do like a circular motion around. But if you have too much paint on, it doesn't matter. And if you don't hold it down flat and it lifts up, you're going to get paint underneath. So once that first one's on, we'll lift it off and show you. And you want to let that dry. So the first thing is you're going to get your flower, you're going past the stencil, the flowers on, and then kind of get your placement big, small, all throughout the whole hat. And so if you want to do a small one next to it, you can. And then these little circles you'll save till the end because that's your dots in the middle, but we have to wait until this dries. But really offload your brush and get as much paint off of it as possible so you don't have bleed through, because it will bleed under if you have too much paint. It's better to go over it. So there's the first set. So you want to kind of let that dry. You don't want to overlap that. So you might want to twist your, if you get any on it, you can wipe it off easy because you clear coated it. It should come off when it's wet, and you can just spray your little rag and wipe off any excess that gets on. But keep your stencil clean. So that's the first set. So then you kind of just want to play with whether you want to put another big one and small one down this way or where you want to put it, and have your placement. You could just randomly put them. There's no rhyme or reason, however you want it. I'm going to put some more flowers on here just to show you and keep rotating it. Just kind of stay away from the ones that aren't dry yet and work your way around it. So now we got the flowers done in a random pattern. So now we're using these two circles just to come back and put a pop of color in the middle. So remember, dip your stencil brush in the paint, but then offload it onto the plate to where there's barely any paint coming off so you don't have bleed through. And hold your stencil down tight, and that way it won't get under. You can go in a swirling motion too if Yep. And then you can pull that up and let it dry, and that'll be your pop of yellow and just in the flower. And then you'll just keep repeating all your little circles. But you want to wait till your flowers are dry. You'll just come back in with the small circle or the large circle and fill those in when the white flowers are dry. And you could start, like she has it in a corner right now and she's working her way back. You could do it that way too if all your flowers are dry, and just keep working back one circle at a time. From big to small, big to small. That's so cute. Because you just don't want to go over what you did and tape it and make it come off. Or get paint on your tape and then you're laying your tape back down on your gnome and getting him all, you know, messed up with paint that's on the all on the back side of the tape. So try to work in one direction. Go from one end all the way back to the top. Oh, that one turned out really good. So we're going to have to let some of those dry. She's going to hit some that doesn't have paint around it. And we're all winding down to getting it almost complete. Do you want to do some pink?
Yeah.
It's the jar that will say pink tea rose nose paint for your nose, but we can also use that for the flowers. And like I was saying, you can mix with, on the plate that I gave you, which we will show you how you can mix it with some white and make it a little brighter. So let me scoop some out, and when it's on your plate you can just mix it with the white that you've already been offloading, and then kind of get a lighter, brighter pink and offload that, and then that could be a new center for your center of your little daisies. And you could also overlap some of your petals and make it more petals. I mean, you could get as creative as you want on this, because remember we clear coated it, so if you mess up or paint gets on your tape and sticks down, you might want to leave it a little darker because of the white petals, but it will have a contrast. Yep. So you won't be able, the pink one's right in there, but you won't be able to see it till it dries and gets a little darker than the white, but you will see a contrast. Oh yeah, looks good. That one definitely needs to be pink. Right over there, the little one, yep, because you got 3 yellows. And it's all on what you like. And then this last phase, we're going to go in and highlight, and I'm going to show you that, but we have to wait for the flowers to dry. And then we can go in and highlight. And she makes it look so easy. So the other thing that you can do is there's creases like in the brim of the hat. We want to let that dry a little bit, but just to bring out the creases, we want to take a little bit of the black that you got for your shoes, and you're gonna put a little bit of that glaze. And this is the scary part. A lot of people get afraid to use the glaze, but it's in your container. Yep, we'll put this over here. You have it in your little container. It says shoes and highlights. So a lot of people are afraid to use the glaze because they're, you know, once you put it on, it's very hard to get off. So we want to just add a little bit of highlights on the brim, and be careful how we rub it on there, and then in some of the creases. And we probably could have done this. This is the first time I'm doing this gnome. Probably could have done it before. The thing about the sealant is the clear coat helps you be able to come back and wipe this glaze back off. But you're really just darkening it with the glaze and making it a darker edge. But we might have to go back over some of the flowers because I think I should have did the edging before. So this is just putting a shadow on here. And because we have clear coat on it, if we get it somewhere, it's easier to wait. Yep, so I'm gonna just rub this in, and don't worry about the flowers, we'll go back over that. Just trying to get this crease around the hat. And we're just gonna rub that. Don't worry, it looks like we're ruining it, but it would have been easier to put this on first and age where we wanted it to look like the hat had shadows. So, and that's what the good thing about getting that clear coat on there really good, because you can wipe the glaze back. If you didn't have the clear coat on there, the paint would just suck it right up. So I can wipe this back a little bit. And yeah, I was just trying to go, I mean, it's a matter of preference. I was just trying to go where these little, fill these little creases that are in the actual wood. And then she might have to go back over these flowers just where I got them dark from the brim. So I just want to create a natural crease in the hat. I'm going to get this off my nose. And this rag comes in handy, just keep flipping it. So now I'm just going back over it. I'm going to wipe it one more time. Kind of get the creases. I'm also rubbing in the direction of the creases in the hat. So it kind of, if it's going to make a streak, it's going to be in the way the hat would crease. There we go. So there's the shadowing in the hat and the detail. Now I just want to get a clean spot in my rag and wipe it off the gray. Get a nice clean line. So we have to cut that out. Okay. So now you can go. So do you see the aging in there? That looks really good. It makes the hat look like there's shadows, light spots and dark spots. So now we'll have to go over some of the flowers. Some of these flowers. So I'll probably... I don't know. I like the age. I like the
aging in some of them.
Do you? Yeah.
Well, I mean, if it was actually a shadow,
yeah,
it would. The flowers would be dark too.
So, yeah, I don't know if there's any right or wrong because I like the way that looks with some of the flowers in the shadows, and some not. So it's just a matter of preference, but that's what the black's for. And once this is definitely clear coated and sealed, you can put that glaze on and not worry about wiping it back. Because as you see, I'm wiping it back with the baby wipes in areas I don't want it. So The only other highlighting that we want to do is in his beard. So we can come down and put it down in the crevices. And I know it looks scary, like we're ruining the whole thing, but this glaze just gives it an aged look or a definition. We're trying to get some down in those crevices that stays like the outlines for us, because he's already put them in the wood when he cut them out. So I'm just trying to get down in there. And these sponges are great for that because they have a hard little thing in them. They're not good after one use, but they do get down in there. So now that looks horrible and scary, but we're going to come back with the baby wipes and we're just going to wipe it back, and we're going to give it an aged look to his beard. And it looks like a lot and it looks scary, but it does come back, and it just gives you that striped look. Just watch your nose, but like I said, if you get it on there, we can get it off. So this baby wipe helps take a lot of it off, but you always have some tint to it. There's always going to be some darkening or tint to it. So now I'm going to come back and wipe it off with a new rag. And you can rinse out the rag that I gave you and wipe it back, and you just keep wiping it back till you get it to the coloration that you like. So this wipe is wiping off a lot. And you kind of always want to rub it in the direction that you want it to have a line in the paint, because what comes on and comes off leaves like little streaks. So can you see that? Okay, so now I'm just going to wipe off the nose and have a nice clean look on the nose. And then let this dry up a little bit, and then we can clear coat him, and then he is done. And the clear coat is just the final coat to seal what you've done so that it doesn't bleed off. And that is your final step in the gnome. And then you can pick them up. And only thing left to do is you'll take the hanger that I provided you with after you clear coat them one more time with the clear coat. You'll let it dry completely, and then you will put the hanger on the back where it's hidden for you to hang on your door or a wall. And that's it. You can do other cute little stuff if you wanted to add a pom-pom here or a bow. You know, you can add a bow right there on the front of them. So it's not limited to what you can do. Let me try to pick them up and show you the whole thing standing up. So, pad. And once you go over it enough with this finishing pad, it just knocks off any little particles or dust or anything, and it finishes the piece off really smooth. So I just like to go over the whole thing a couple times with the finishing, and you can feel how smooth it's getting. And you'll just rub over the whole surface with this finishing pad. And again, if you see something you don't like, before you put the final coat on, like I don't want this little black here, you can go in like that and just wipe it right off. Any part that you don't like, now's the time you want to fix it. And then, like I said, go over it with the finishing pad, and then you'll brush on your final clear coat, let it dry, and then that's it. It's ready to hang. So I hope you enjoyed this project, and hopefully as I do more of these, I will get better at explaining it in the video. But this was the first time trying the gnome, and definitely with all these deep wood creases in here, it's better to do all that glazing first. But I really like how it turned out. It's really cute, and I'm sure somebody will like this color combo, and we'll put this for sale. So thank you, and stay tuned for the next class.